Okay, let's do our third and final investigate the source. So we're still in SIFT, right? SIFT. S was stop, I was investigate the source. Third and final investigate the source video. This time we're looking at this article on the reduction of smoking in the world, particularly through the use of alternative harm reduction products. And by that, one of the things they mean is vaping, right? And this is a huge debate. If you go on Netflix right now, there's a series called Broken, and one of the episodes is on this question, right? So there are people that say that by making vaping more available, we will reduce deaths by smoking, right? Because people will use less tobacco. And then there is another group that is saying, no, actually by making vaping available, you're getting people addicted to nicotine, and down the road, we are going to see more deaths of something too, probably. Okay, so creative destruction of legacy industries gives birth to more sustainable ones. That's a highfalutin way to say that things like e-cigarettes are destroying the cigarette industry, and that's good for everybody, right? Creative destruction is also an old economics term. You don't have to know any of that. All I want to know is if I am looking into this issue of does increasing access to vaping products decrease cigarette deaths and harm, do I want to use this source? Is this the best source to use? Now, we could do the Wikipedia thing, but what you'll find is with some organizations, they're small enough that it's not going to show up in Wikipedia. Here we see this Derek Yack, who is associated with that article, was the author actually on that article. And so we could look at Derek Yack, but I'm going to do something different. First, if we look at this and we do news for that URL, we don't find it. But if we do the quotes sort of thing, Foundation for a Smoke-Free World, or maybe not in quotes because I'm lazy, we find that there's news on this here. And the first one here is PR Week, health experts criticize tobacco industry funded foundation. PR Week is an interesting organization, but that might give us some leads on this organization that we could follow. I'm more interested in this here, this event. India asks states not to partner with this organization because of funding by Philip Morris. Philip Morris is one of the big cigarette companies in the U.S. and of course around the world. Apparently India's health ministry has asked them not to partner. It also says that the World Health Organization has said there are clear conflicts because of the funding from Philip Morris. If you dive into this, you can find the original story here. And you'll find something interesting. It's not just that Philip Morris funded this. Funding itself and funding alone is not always enough to say that something is biased. People need to get money from somewhere. However, one of the things that health experts have been saying is when you look at where they are spending their money, it doesn't resemble the normal sorts of spending of a public health organization, right? That there's too much on marketing and not enough on the ground initiatives and research and that sort of thing. So that's the criticism. And it kind of gets to this idea that when we talk about the source, we're not always talking about bias. We're talking about something I call agenda. An agenda is what is the organization set up to do? And you can understand that by where they spend their money, right? So if an organization claims to be a research organization and they are spending most of their money on advocacy, well, they're an advocacy organization, right? I mean, you can tell by where the effort, where the money, where the funding goes. In this case, we know enough at this point, I think, to either use that article with extreme caution or go and find an article from another source.